Bloodwolf Arts Studio. Unleash the artist within.
Okay, welcome to the Blood Wolf Reading Hour, and I'm your host, Mr. Moonlight. And we've got our special guest with us again this week for reading her book. This is Robyn Maria, and so we're reading her book From Surviving to Creating. And if you were here last week or tuned into last week's video, then we left off on the footing of creating that letter to yourself as a child during some moment, some vulnerable moment, and had a conversation to support that shift moving forward. Um, and I was able to do that activity myself as well. It was interesting because what showed up for me, I sat with it like I just trust what shows up first. I'm like, okay, well, let's be with that and see where that leads. And it led to some interesting places. Um, so I'm looking forward to seeing where this one leads into. Um, you have anything you want to chime in before we get started?
No, I'm grateful to what to go through the process because the process is where the shifting can happen, and so I'm really glad you're taking it on.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so we're gonna step right into chapter 4. Okay, okay. Chapter 4. The most radical thing I ever did was believe I had a choice, choosing again and again to create change. At some point, survival wasn't enough anymore. I was tired of simply making it through the day, tired of waiting for the next placement, the next apology, the next opportunity to feel like I belonged. I didn't want to live my whole life reacting to what had been done to me. I wanted to start creating what could come next. I had to learn one of the hardest truths first. Your life doesn't change all at once. It changes one decision at a time, and then another, and then another. That's the power of choice. There was no single moment when I suddenly became the person I am today. No switch flipped, no angel descended. What there was were choices, small ones, invisible to others, but monumental to me. I'll be honest, at first, even the idea of choice felt foreign, almost unreachable. I watched people around me make decisions about their future, where to go to school, who to love, or what to become. I felt like I was on the outside looking in. I didn't grow up believing I had that kind of control. I thought life happened to you, that some people got to choose, and others, like me, just had to deal with the hand with which they were dealt. Still, I was watching, listening, learning. Though I was afraid to act, something in me began to shift, and so did the questions. Could I really have that kind of power? Could I even trust myself to choose? At first, I didn't hold my power or trust my ability to choose. I hesitated. I doubted. Eventually, the pain of staying the same became louder than the fear of doing something different. Just want to pause there for a second. I like the direction this is going and this what it's emphasizing on, um, because that is like one of the key turning points that I've noticed along the way. And it's interesting because in my own growth, then it's like I hit a wall of something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I break through that and I'm like, man, it's going to be easier next time, but it doesn't actually really exactly get easier. You just kind of learn that it just kind of hurts as you go, and the fear doesn't go away. You just kind of have to choose to walk through it regardless, because I mean, it's gonna hurt and it's gonna be scary sometimes, um, but I don't know. I mean, it's like it's just built right into life itself, really, where it's like it gets to being the pain so much that everybody eventually changes at some point because at some point somebody they hit their own tolerance. Um,
Hmm.
and I guess I mean, and I guess the reality of this is something we touched on last week is that not everybody makes it. Sometimes it gets to that point, and some people make the choices, and then you know. That's no, I guess that's the tough part is I guess that's the reality hit. Um, it's like it has to get to a certain point, and even then, if some people don't step into that choosing, then eventually it kind of it'll just go the other way.
Hmm.
And that's one of the realizations I've had is that anybody who's just alive is stronger than they know, because
Hmm.
being alive is tough.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, did you have something else you want to ch chime in there before we continue?
No, it's just, I mean, yes, in the respect that it's difficult until it's not difficult.
Hmm.
That's just the truth. It's the hardest of the hard things to do is to navigate this life until you it's practiced enough to not be hard anymore.
Yeah,
We're here to practice, we're here to learn, we're here to grow. That happens in the most turbulent water.
yeah.
Hmm.
And just like you're doing, you showcase or showing in this your experiences here. It's just the little step, just got to get started
Hmm.
somewhere, and
Yeah.
uh, eventually you're out sailing the high seas, and you're just, you're
Yeah.
that cruise ship going along, just sailing.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a lot of things can take a cruise ship down. There's
Yeah,
still things that can hit an iceberg. Ask the Titanic. It can happen.
yep,
But for the most part, it's the stability, right?
yep,
You're looking for balance, you're looking for stability.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, we'll continue here. Power over pain. It started with what may be perceived as simple, like the time I sat in the back of a classroom tempted to zone out like I always did, but chose to pick up my pencil and take notes. Like the moment I had the chance to run away from another argument, but chose to stay calm and speak up for myself. Like the night I could have numbed my pain with something temporary, but chose to sit with the discomfort and feel it instead. Those choices didn't make headlines, but they made me. I began to think differently. That is when my mindset became my superpower. Instead of, why is this happening to me? I began asking, what can I do with this? Instead of, no one ever stays. I told myself, I will stay for me. Instead of, I'll never be enough. I whispered, I am becoming. This shift gave me power over the pain. The more I chose to respond with intention, the more my life began to reflect that intention. Not right away, not perfectly, but consistently. A consistent choice to create my life. A story of sharp edges. I'll never forget one girl I lived with in a foster home. She was older than me, probably 16 or 17. I looked up to her in a way, mostly because she didn't seem to care what anyone thought. She had an edge to her. She was tough, funny, and sharp with her words. Behind it, I could see the sadness. The kind that doesn't get talked about, just buried under eye rolls and slammed doors. One day, she packed her stuff and left. She ran away without saying goodbye. A few weeks later, we heard she had gotten into serious trouble. Drugs, the wrong crowd. Dropped out. Eventually, she was arrested. That was the end of her second chance. She didn't choose freedom. She chose what felt familiar: destruction, escape, powerlessness masked as rebellion. it broke something inside of me to watch it happen. I saw what pain can do when it doesn't have specific purpose. I saw how easy it is to give up when you don't believe you have any power left. I remember thinking, I don't want that to be me. Oof. Wow. Did you want to expound on that a little bit? That's quite an experience.
It was difficult for me because when she first came home, what led to her leaving was she found out she was pregnant. And she came home and she told our foster parents that she was pregnant, and of course they were furious. And then that she was going to have to be moved. She couldn't stay in the house that we were in and have a baby. And so there was a bunch of us. I think there was 6 or 8 girls in that home. And it was kind of like a group home, sort of. But
Mhm.
anyway, so instead of being moved again, she left. And she ended up losing the baby because of the drugs and the drinking, had a miscarriage. And she was with someone that was beating her regularly. She would come with bruises on her all the time. And it just felt so reminiscent of where I had come from
Yeah,
and what it looked like where I lived. I was like, there's got to be something different than this. I just don't want this to be my life. I don't want to do this life if it gets to be this.
right.
And so I just want the power to choose something else.
I
So
almost,
it's important to go through those experiences myself to gain hindsight and to gain knowledge through the experience. But it's also important to observe other people's experiences
yeah,
and say, hey, I see what they chose. I see what the outcome of the choice. Is that what I choose? That yes, and then I choose for myself from there.
yeah. I imagine that that whole experience. It was just almost like it's interesting that the key points that an experience comes into a space like that where it's like almost just like the past comes screaming, and it's like, oh my gosh, like that could be me. Um,
Hmm.
maybe even the thought that that could like that for sure would have been me if I wouldn't have made that very first choice at the start when you were reflecting as a teenager where you said no more
Hmm.
and you chose to walk out because maybe that could have been you at that point.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
it's
I'm
like,
I'm 100% aware that I was the most fortunate that in all of from 6 years old to 14 years old and being sexually abused is that I never got pregnant. That is a miracle, divine intervention, possibly, because I mean it was obvious that it could have happened, and so that the fact that that didn't happen let now in hindsight I can say because I had a different purpose, right?
yeah.
So my her path is and my path were not supposed to be the same.
And I mean, this is where you are now. I mean, you've got this
Yeah.
book and you've got your, you said there was an organization that you've built or that you're working with to create something, support different, to create others, support for
Hmm.
creating a different future for others.
Yeah. In my charity organization, which we'll get to that part in the book eventually.
Okay.
Hmm.
Um, and I guess just before I continue reading, I just wanted to go back to the little bit on the page previous, this one point of mindset shifting. That is huge. I know that that's been one of my biggest things. That's one thing that kind of gets me through everything is how do I choose to see this?
Hmm.
It's real easy to look the other way and look at how it's wrecking my life rather than what is this opportunity teaching me or what can I make of it? I don't know.
So I watched a program recently that was talking about being triggered, like how society is so that's a go-to word these days of that triggers me, like I'm not comfortable with this or that or the other, right? But um nobody can actually trigger me. That lives within inside of me. And when a situation arises and I'm in the mindset of that's triggering because it reminds me of these things, that's just like alerting myself to what's not healed yet.
Yeah.
So trigger is a word just for me to say, oh, that's bringing some stuff up for me that's not healed. And I get to take a look at that because it's not about the other person and what they're perceivedly doing. It's about, oh, why is that affecting me that way? And what can I do about it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. And so my mindset is my superpower.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's there's that analogy I heard that's like um you're holding this cup and someone bumps into you and you spill coffee all over yourself, and it's like, why um did you spill coffee on yourself? It's not because they bumped into you, it's because of what you had in the cup.
Mm-hmm.
That's what came up, and
Mm-hmm.
I got splashed by it because that's what I was holding in my cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, take it out of my
Pretty,
cup. There's
pretty,
nothing to get
yeah.
on.
Yeah. If you had water in it, they would have said, why did you splash water on yourself?
Yeah,
It's whatever you're putting into it, right?
right. Okay. We will get on to this last section before we get into our activity. Okay. A different life and freedom. I didn't know what my future would look like, but I knew I didn't want to self-destruct just to feel in control. I wanted to create something better, even if it took everything in me. It would have been easier to follow the patterns I grew up with, to let bitterness win, to stay small, to play the victim. I knew deep down that if I wanted a different life, I couldn't keep choosing the same path. So I started choosing again and again and again until those small choices became habits. Those habits became a new way of living. That way of living became my freedom. The next chapter of my story wasn't just about the choices I made for myself. It was about opening my heart to someone else, learning how to trust, how to dream together, how to build something real when all I'd ever known was survival. It was about opening up to possibility and to love. That's when everything began to change. Yeah. Kind of got me excited for your next section moving in there, because I know where this is going. It's a little bit uh, pretty big, pretty big changes. They keep. I mean, it's just like they just keep adding up, and then all of a sudden it's like there's other people involved now, and it just
Yeah.
gets bigger and bigger.
Well, life is a team sport, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Hmm. All right. This I just want to say something on this one part here. Um, this is something that really resonates a lot with me because, I mean, you know a bit of my background. That I just like that's one of the things I reflect on is and in my own life I've realized to get to where I want to be, I've had to decide who can have direct access to me exactly
Mm-hmm.
because my safe home gets to be safe for me to be able to rest and ground. And if I want to create a different future, I mean, I guess a word is standards. I've got to have a standard for myself. Like, what do I want? And I've had to set so many, um, just thinking how to word this, like a boundary and say, this
But
is
boundaries are for ourselves. They're not for other people.
yes. And I've had to
So
set
when you put a
boundaries.
boundary in place, it's what is acceptable from yourself to yourself. Oh,
And I know I've created situations where I've talked to certain people and I say, hey, this behavior that's showing up, it's like it's affecting me this way, and I don't feel like I can be around this for now, I guess, um, because I get to take care of me.
mhm,
It's not about you. Um,
mhm,
and I know that if I'm not watching myself carefully what I'm around, then I don't know, doesn't work too well for me. That's what I've had to
mhm.
do. but
Hmm.
it's kind of tough sometimes. But
Hmm.
uh, it's that
We
choice of.
reinvent. So, well, go ahead.
I was gonna say it's. I mean, um, to me, it's just my. It's I've seen and I recognize it's just my recognizing my own value and saying I love myself enough that I don't want to go.
Hmm.
Um, what do they say? Is like people tend to be like the five closest people you hang around with the most. I mean, people just. I mean, they influence each other a lot.
Hmm.
Um, and if I want to build a future that's different, then I have to be mindful of all the little things because they all add up. It's, I mean, uh,
Hmm. What I've come to understand and know is that we as humans put a lot of value in our tribe. And most of the time, that's our biological tribe.
yeah,
And so when we don't have connections to our biology or to our quote unquote family, it can feel like a deficit or a failure. What I know is that I have an amazing tribe, and most of them are not biological. And it's who I have chosen to grow with, to nurture myself and their self together, and to achieve specific goals and um, uh, not necessarily have a checklist or a destination, but to take a journey with people that are like-minded and that want the similar things out of life.
yeah.
And that's not always biology.
No, and I was actually on the phone with someone in my family today, my biological family, and we was talking about how in order for me to get to where I want to be, I've had to distance myself from some people so that I can focus on building my own security and safety and building the future I want. And
Mhm.
they shared with me, they're like, well, I haven't felt like I've had to do that. And we discussed that. And what ended up coming of it is they said something like, they said, and they acknowledged it. They said, well, I had a different experience growing up. And I said, that's why I feel like, I mean, you get to decide where you're at with those people and um, what you're going to be around because you had different experiences. And I said, and I feel like that's because we have different purposes. Like I
Mhm.
had my own experience, I'm a certain kind of way. There's certain things that mean a lot to me, and it's different. And then my experiences were shaped by so many things. And I can be in the same biological family and have a whole different experience. And my realization is, and that I communicated with that family member was I feel like it's because we just have a different purpose, and this is the way
Mhm.
I get to go because, yeah, um, my purpose and my intentions of what I'm creating is different. So, I learned
Mhm.
different lessons.
Mhm.
So,
And it's beautiful. It's all beautiful.
yeah, it's like I don't have to hate people. At
No.
the same time, my purpose can be over here because it doesn't work over there for my purpose,
Hmm.
and
Absolutely.
that's perfectly okay. It's like it's part of someone else's purpose, and that's okay if it's not biological.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
okie doke. I'm gonna go ahead and pop up on the screen our activity that I've got pulled up here. Okie doke. Okay, move out of my way, please. Thank you. Okay, reflection exercise. Choose differently and consistently. Look at your life right now. Pick one area, just one, where you felt stuck, reactive, or discouraged. And ask yourself honestly, what have I been choosing and how is it working? Um, I like this question. It's like it's a focus on one thing, and then you're just kind of
Hmm.
like, what is it creating essentially?
Hmm.
How is this machine working in my life
Yeah.
or habit choice? And how is it working? And then what could I choose instead? Possibilities. Write it down. Then write a sentence starting with, "Today I choose." This is your moment. This is your shift. This is the beginning of becoming the person who creates your life on purpose. I really like this one.
Mhm.
Because I like it how it just focuses on the one thing. That's really what it comes down to, I think. I mean, you just take one thing at a time, start there, and tiny shifts, and then the commitment. Today I choose.
Mhm.
Um, and it's interesting because it's like, um, I guess to share a little bit of something I did with one of our last activities was I set a boundary. Um,
Mhm.
and it created, and I essentially what I did is I communicated with um, certain relationships, and they were very close relationships. And I communicated how I felt and how I was, how I had been affected by certain things that had happened, and essentially communicated like, this is what this is about for me. Like, it's about me feeling safe in this relationship, and I want to address this. And just me communicating that, how I felt, and that I was willing to address this and not making it about the other person. Like, I need to feel safe in this. That's important to me. And just by communicating that was such a tiny thing, but it created such a massive ripple that I'm still experiencing. And I feel like this exercise is very powerful because it does just that. It's like, what's something, it doesn't have to look very big, but let's see what we can shift to create a different result.
Mhm. I love that. I love that, and it's just a moment by moment, and I start every day with intention. What is the purpose of today, and what am I creating? And on my 4-year-old grandson, I ask him all the time, "What are you creating today?" And he's having a fit in Hobby Lobby and having a tantrum on the floor, and he looks at me and he says, "I'm creating sadness." And I say, "Okay, that's perfect because you're owning that. When you're done creating that and you want to choose into something else, let's talk about that." And then he'll have his moment and then he gets up and he goes, "Okay, I'm ready to create happiness now." And I was like, "Okay, then let's go." But even at a young age, he's learning and discovering that every moment is a creation of his making.
I love how you're supporting that because it's not even just being owning that and seeing what he's creating, but it's also honoring what he's creating. Because
Mhm.
there's a reason for this. There's something happened that he's
Mhm.
sad or whatever. And
Mhm.
it's like, when you're done experiencing that, like, get it all out of your system, then let's move forward. Let's see what you're ready to create after that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pop this out. I'm looking forward to doing this one. Uh, Perhaps one of many times. We'll see. It looks like a powerful tool. I'm looking forward to that. So before we, oh, there's my notification. It says we got a little bit of time. Like 10 minutes, it says. So we'll just start wrapping this up. Was there anything you wanted to chime in before we kind of close things down?
No, it was a good session today.
I agree. I am interested. Oh my gosh, I'm just putting my bookmark in the book and I see chapter 5 and it's got me excited. I
Yeah, it's
got
a good
myself
one.
all worked up. That's next week. Actually,
You
that's
get
gonna
to bring in another character.
that's actually funny. I was just about to say it's next week, but maybe I'll just to get into that. So, I just want to say thank you to anybody who's watching, tuning into this reading this week. So, remember to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also to go to the Facebook and then follow me on TikTok, also as Mr. Moonlight Rhyme. Also, pick up a copy of Robyn's book. I'm gonna have it linked in the comments, like I always do, for people to just pick up a book. and follow along, or I mean, we post the activities online so you guys can be included regardless. But and so thank you, Robyn, for being here. And before we jump in, so we're both going to be not available next week. We're going to be doing some volunteering together, actually. So our next live stream will be in 2 weeks from now. Let's see, let me look at the calendar. Looks like it'll be the 29th is what we're looking at. So that's the next time we'll have our live stream going and picking up on chapter 5 in From Surviving to Creating. So that'll be, the link will be posted as usual, but just before. We'll see when that link comes up. If you got nothing else, then we'll just wrap this up. Thank you again for joining me here, Robyn. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and welcome to my side of the moon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.